The gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Gow, we each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from New Mexico.
Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days within which to revise and extend their remarks and to include extraneous material on H.R. 5128.
Without objection, so ordered.
Madam Speaker, I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
Gentleman's recognized.
H.R. 5128, as amended, is a bill introduced by Congressman Heinrich, Congressman Lujan, and myself to designate the Department of the Interior building in Washington, District of Columbia, as the Stewart Udall Department of the Interior building. Stewart Udall was the consummate public servant, serving 4 terms in the United States Congress and 9 years as the Secretary of Interior. Secretary Udall also enlisted in the armed forces during World War II, serving as a gunner in Europe with the 15th Air Force until 1944. After his service in World War II, Secretary Udall later returned to the University of Arizona and earned a law degree in 1948. He opened a law practice with his brother, former U.S. Congressman Morris Udall, and then ran for and won election as a member of the House of Representatives from Arizona. During his time in the House of Representatives, Secretary Udall served on the Committee on Interior and Insular Affairs and the Committee on Education and Labor. Secretary Udall's service in the House ended when he was appointed by President John F. Kennedy as Secretary of the Interior in 1961. From this perch, Secretary Udall earned his reputation a giant amongst men in the environmental community, authoring several major legislative acts that have served as the framework for modern environmental conservation. Secretary Udall served for 9 years as head of the Interior Department, acting as the administration's primary advocate for preservation and responsible environmental stewardship. Among his other accomplishments, Secretary Udall presided over the expansion of several national parks and preserves, including the Redwood National Park, the Appalachian Scenic Trail, and the North Cascades National Park. After the Secretary's service in the cabinets of President Kennedy and President Lyndon B. Johnson, he rejoined the private sector as a member of a law firm and focused on environmental advocacy by filing lawsuits on behalf of Native Americans impacted by nuclear pollution. Secretary Udall also went on to serve as adjunct professor at Yale University and authored several books on conservation and highlighting the national treasures of the United States of America. Former Interior Secretary Stewart Udall died on March 20th, 2010, surrounded by his family and friends. He is survived by 6 children and 8 grandchildren, including his son and nephew, Mark and Tom, of the House of Representatives before being elected to the other body. Given his service to his country, it is fitting that we honor the memory of former Interior Secretary Stewart Udall in designating the United States Department of the Interior building, located at 1849 C Street Northwest in Washington, D.C., as the Stewart Udall Department of the Interior building. I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting this bill. Madam Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Louisiana.
Thank